When Julius Caesar began his campaigns in Gaul, Rome saw opportunity, glory, and expansion. To the Roman Senate, Gaul was a wild land, rich in resources, divided by tribes, and ripe for domination. But for the people who lived there, especially the noblewomen of Gallic society, Caesar's arrival marked the beginning of a slow and merciless annihilation. The battles may have been fought by men, but the consequences fell heavily on women whose fate would never be recorded in Roman triumphs. Gallic society was not primitive in the way Romans liked to portray it. Noble women held influence, wealth, and authority. They were daughters of chieftains, wives of kings, priestesses of sacred groves. Some controlled land, negotiated alliances, and commanded respect within their tribes. Their identities were tied to lineage, honor, and tradition. When Rome invaded, it was not only armies that clashed, it was two worlds colliding, and one would be erased. As Caesar advanced deeper into Gaul, entire tribes were destroyed. Villages were burned, warriors slaughtered, and survivors rounded up. Roman soldiers followed a system refined over centuries. Kill those who resist, enslave those who remain. After the smoke cleared, Gallic noblewomen were dragged from hiding places, temples, and ruined homes. Their status offered no protection. In Roman eyes, nobility meant value, and value meant profit. Chains replaced jewelry. Ropes replaced silk belts. Women who once walked freely among their people were now forced into columns of prisoners, marched under the watch of Roman spears. They were made to walk barefoot for miles, through mud and blood, past the bodies of husbands, fathers, and sons. Resistance was met with violence. Tears were ignored. Silence was enforced. To Roman commanders, these women were not victims, they were spoils. Caesar himself wrote proudly of enslaving entire populations, reducing tribes to property. Gallic noblewomen were counted, categorized, and prepared for transport south. Some were branded to prevent escape. Others were separated deliberately, ensuring no shared language or kinship that could lead to rebellion. The journey to Roman territory was a slow descent into dehumanization. Hunger weakened bodies. Fear hollowed minds. The women learned quickly that names no longer mattered. They were identified by age, appearance, and physical condition. Those who fell ill were discarded. Those who resisted were punished publicly, to break the will of the rest. When they finally reached Roman cities, the illusion of civilization offered no mercy. Slave markets awaited them. Open spaces filled with shouting traders, eager buyers, and raised platforms where human beings were displayed like animals. Gallic noblewomen were washed, oiled, and forced to stand naked or half-dressed while Roman men inspected them. Teeth were checked. Limbs were tested. Skin was examined for scars. The humiliation was intentional. Roman buyers wanted submission, not pride. Any sign of defiance lowered a woman's price or increased her punishment. Some noble women were separated immediately, sold to wealthy senators who desired exotic captives. Others were sent to brothels, their noble blood turned into a source of entertainment and profit. Many disappeared into agricultural estates, where their strength was used until it was gone. For Rome, slavery was not cruelty, it was structure. The empire functioned on the backs of the conquered. Gallic noblewomen became domestic servants, concubines, breeders of future slaves. Their children, born into bondage, would never know their heritage. This was Rome's true victory, not just conquest of land, but extinction of identity. Caesar's triumphs in Rome celebrated these victories with parades. Gold, weapons, captives, all marched before cheering crowds. Gallic women were sometimes displayed, dressed in foreign clothing, symbols of Rome's dominance over barbarians. The crowd did not see mothers, daughters, or leaders. They saw proof that Rome was unstoppable. Yet behind closed doors, these women carried their trauma in silence. Some resisted in small ways, refusing food, teaching forbidden stories to their children, holding on to memories of their homeland. Others broke entirely, their spirits crushed by years of abuse. Rome did not care. The system was designed to erase the past and replace it with obedience. Roman historians rarely mention these women. Their suffering was inconvenient, unglorious. Caesar's commentaries spoke of strategy and bravery, not of slave markets and broken lives. But archaeology and fragmented accounts tell another story, one of entire noble classes wiped out, not by swords alone, but by systematic enslavement. The sale of Gallic noblewomen was not an accident of war. It was policy. It ensured that future rebellions would lack leadership. It ensured that conquered cultures would dissolve into Roman dominance. By targeting women of status, Rome attacked the very foundation of Gallic society. In time, Gaul became Romanized. Latin replaced native tongues. Roman laws replaced tribal customs. But beneath that transformation lay a buried truth. The empire was built not only by legions, but by the silent suffering of women whose names were never written. Julius Caesar would rise to power, remembered as a genius, a conqueror, a legend. Statues would be raised. Histories would praise him. But far from marble forums and victory arches, Gallic noblewomen lived and died in chains, their lives reduced to footnotes, if mentioned at all. Their story is uncomfortable, which is why it is forgotten. Yet it is essential, because empires do not rise without victims, and Rome's greatness was paid for not only in blood on the battlefield, but in lives sold piece by piece under the sun of slave markets. The Gallic noblewomen did not fall in battle. They were erased slowly, through chains, silence, and survival without freedom. And that perhaps was Rome's cruelest conquest of all. If you want more true stories where empires rise and kings fall, subscribe to the channel and watch the next Roman story.